All right. We are live. Welcome to episode, what is it? I think it's 71 of Player Life. Today we have a guest speaker, Troy Francis, all the way in London, England. And we're
Indeed.
going to talk about life, during these lockdown times, how day game has changed, how game in general has changed, just how
Yeah.
life for Troy has changed in general. So what's up,
Yeah.
Troy?
Yeah. Good to see you, man. Good to be here. And it was good to see you guys briefly on Rule Zero on Saturday when you were doing some degenerate stuff in Tokyo and popped into the stream briefly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
very, that was a degenerate night.
Well,
Yeah,
apparently so. Apparently so. John was saying so. Very
yeah.
glad to hear it. Man.
I wasn't even on the sauce, but it was still degenerate.
Yeah. 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 No.
Just,
Very. Very good. Very good.
yeah.
Very
But
glad to hear it.
yeah, it's kind of different over here. It's like all throughout, even in Tokyo when there was like back in March, no, it was April last year, I think. April last year, there was, there was actually lockdown in Tokyo,
Yeah.
and but even back then, there were still places we could find to go out.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that only lasted 1 month. So after
Yes.
that, I mean, there was always places to go. Even
Yeah.
now in Tokyo, it's a supposed state of emergency. You literally go outside, you go into city, everything's like normal, like cafes, shops, everything's open. The only
Mm.
difference is most stores close at 8, and even then, you can still find nightclubs like that will be packed
Yeah.
out.
Nice.
So what's the
Nice.
story? What's the story over with you?
Well, I've been in London for most of the time, and we're currently in a lockdown situation. It's a stay at home sort of order. Uh, Most stuff is closed, to be honest. Most fun stuff is closed. The clubs are closed, the bars are closed, restaurants are closed. All the good stuff's closed, basically. You can get, I mean, obviously there's basic shops and stuff like that, but anything fun that you want to do is closed, and it has been for ages. Having said that, this lockdown, because there's been various iterations of lockdown since back last March, and this lockdown has been somewhat better for a number of reasons. Firstly, there's a lot of people out and about in the streets. That it's not like last year around this time or whenever we went into lockdown. It was literally you'd walk out into the streets and it was like a bomb had gone off or something. There was literally no one. Everything shuttered up, nothing going on. This time it's very different because I think people are just kind of used to it now, and it's sort of like, so people are like taking their exercise, they're out and about. Coffee shops are open to take out, so you can buy coffee, have a walk around, etc. So for me, the atmosphere is a lot better than it was last time.
Right.
And like you were saying, I mean, there's always little people are following the rules to a large degree, but there's always little sort of leeway and so on and so forth. So it's not bad, but of course now they've announced this. Certainly, as far as England's concerned, specifically, they've announced this route out of lockdown thing, which is really kicking off from this month. So theoretically, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it just seems crazy how we've just kept this thing going for so long. Um, whereas
Long.
whereas Japan hasn't. It just and other places haven't. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, if you have to do it, okay, do it. But it should the onus should be on, well, how do we get out of this as quickly as possible? Not let's just leave it running for months and see what happens.
Yeah, I've seen some very draconian videos coming out of England.
I really, what sort of stuff like?
Just throughout the year, just people getting arrested for drinking coffees and on park benches and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind of
just
crazy, isn't it? Really, it's like a police state that's sprung up.
yeah. So, but have you gotten any stick for any? Has anyone given you any hassle for going out or walking around or?
No, not really. I mean, I'm in London, so I have seen some stories from other parts of the country. I mean, there was this ridiculous story last year where some people were going for a run out in the middle of the nowhere in the countryside, and there were police drones like taking pictures of them and stuff like that. I mean, in London, to be honest, it's been pretty sort of light touch. You know, I haven't. I've often expected to sort of like get, you know, sort of asked by somebody, well, where are you going, or something, but like it's never happened. You know, and there are various sort of get outs at the moment. You're allowed to go out and get exercise. You can go and buy food. You can go and look at property. You can go to support groups and things like this if you're a member of that. So there's a lot of sort of carve outs, and the police are just, I mean, within reason, people are just walking around kind of doing their own thing, and nobody's really challenging them. So,
Right.
you know, so it's okay,
Yeah.
but it's not ideal. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still rubbish. It's just marginally less rubbish than the first time around.
So like I was saying here in Japan, there was like, you know, even during when they had their serious lockdown, there were still places that, you know, we could go. How about,
Yeah.
is there anywhere at all like night? There's no like nightclubs or anything. There's nothing.
Not really. I mean, there have certainly been reports of stuff going on. You know, I saw a report a while back about a place in East London. Apparently, 300 people turned up to this warehouse rave, and then the police came along and shut it down. So
But that's
there's
illegal.
definitely, yeah, illegal, just
Okay,
underground.
so that's the difference between, yeah, London, England, and Japan. It's actually not. It's more like voluntary here. It's a voluntary
Yeah,
where places shut down voluntarily.
exactly,
They didn't change any laws or anything. So
exactly.
Japanese, mm,
And that's the big thing for me, really, because I think it should always have been voluntary. Really, I
mm,
mean, I get the fact. Okay, people have got to take care. You might want to take precautions and so on and so forth. But I think the issue with all of this has been making it mandatory and bringing these laws in. It's a very and people are sort of seem to be kind of by happy with it. You know, they're just like, yeah, whatever. We need to do this for the pandemic. But it just, to me, it just sets a very bad precedent. You know, we've never done anything like this before. It's crazy.
yeah, it sucks. I mean, you know, I mean, in Japan here, like, you know, most people do abide by the laws, but it's such a we're in such a massive city like Tokyo. There's always going to be people that break the rules, or just because, you know.
Yeah,
Apparently, if they do break the rules, like they put them in the newspaper, but that's just like free advertising. And then people find out where the places are open, and they go they go there.
yeah.
So like there's
Yeah,
queues. You'll notice like in the busy night spots, you'll see like most places shut, and then you'll see these odd places that are like really packed and busy because like there's nowhere else open, and
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Exactly. Because I'm sure a lot of people. It seems like populations are pretty evenly split between those people who are really on board with it and think, oh, this is really dangerous. We need to do all of this to take precautions, and then a bunch of other people who are of the mind of, well, this is ridiculous. This is an incursion of our civil liberties. We should have the right to make our own decisions about what we're going to do, and so on and so forth. So,
mm. What's amazing to me is like I ride the subway and the train every day, almost
yeah,
every single day in Japan, and I never wear masks, unless I'm required to, and you're not
yes,
required to on public transport or anything. And I've known as even there's the one time I remember one guy gave me an off look. That's like in an entire year, like one time he was getting
yeah.
off the train and he just kind of scowled at me once, like, and you know, I'm a very
Japanese
observant
guy.
Japanese guy. Once in a
Yeah.
year, you
Mm.
know, I just can't imagine that happening in the West. People would be very vocal and like kind of get in your face and things.
Yeah, people here are sort of like, if you weren't wearing a mask somewhere where you were supposed to be, it's kind of likely that you get challenged. I remember just before we went into one of the many lockdowns, I think it was like the November or something. I'd gone out to a restaurant the night before, and I was going downstairs into the to the bathroom, and I'd forgotten to put the face mask, because I usually do wear bandanas actually because it's more comfortable and it's whatever. But I'd
Mm.
forgotten to put the thing on. And I get down into the toilet, and this guy like looks at me, and he said something like, "Oh, come on, mate," It's like, come on, mate, we got to, we've all got to wear it, put it on, sort of thing.
Mm.
And this was a youngish guy. This wasn't some like school teacherly sort of old fogey lecturing me. This was like a youngish guy, and it's sort of like it is very much the feeling of like we've all got to do our bit. We've all got to play along and everything.
They're no match for the propaganda.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, like, whatever. I mean, like, to be honest, the mask thing, the bandana thing. I mean, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but I would rather everything was open and you had to wear that in certain places. Do you know what I mean? I'm not so bothered about it as some people are. It's just like whatever, you know. But the fact that at the moment everything is closed is a bigger concern to me.
Mhm. Yeah, but you don't get either. You have to wear a
Yeah,
mask and you
and
don't get
it's closed. Yes.
and you have to take the vaccine and you got and you see what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. And we all know that masks really make very little difference. I mean,
Yeah,
I think the
it's
World
still
Health Organization said that, didn't they? It doesn't really. It's kind of minuscule, but whatever. I mean, the biggest thing for me is you can't go to unlike you guys, I can't go to dodgy late night fetish parties and things. Unfortunately, at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah, it's amazing. There's like yeah, there's everything's still going in Tokyo. Fetish bars, nightclubs, regular bars, even swinger bars, all that kind of thing.
Man, it sounds amazing. I mean, listen. To be honest, though, I've only got myself to blame here because you can get out, or certainly it was easier perhaps to get out a month or so ago. But you can get out and just go somewhere else, and I haven't done that. I haven't done that for a number of reasons, but partly because I'm working on some stuff, and it's kind of suits me to be here, and also, like I said, things aren't so horrendous this time. It's sort of bearable, So
Right.
I'm just sort of keeping my head down and getting on with stuff. But I've got friends who've gone off to Mexico, to Brazil, people in Dubai. Do you know what I mean? So really, that's what you want to do. You just want to get out.
You can still travel around Europe, right? You can actually travel, can you? No?
Well, so at the moment they've said that we're not allowed to travel for holiday reasons. However, you can travel for work purposes. So if you've got a work reason, you could. As far as I know, they're not really stopping people. So I think if you've got a work reason, you can travel. Then going into Europe, it depends on the country because some countries have now banned us because we've got this like so-called British variant. So I was
Right.
talking to someone in Poland yesterday actually, and they were saying, "Oh, we've got the British variant in Poland now." So we are sort of banned from some countries. I mean, I could probably, because I've got sort of ties in Berlin, I could probably go into Germany, and then from Germany, I suppose I could then. It might be somewhat easier for me to travel around, but it's this weird situation at the moment, isn't it? Where all these countries have got their own internal policies about who they let in and everything. So it's yeah, pretty
So
crap, really.
you said you have ties to Berlin. Is that your spot outside of is that your second home from home?
Yeah,
Where's your
I've got a place in Berlin, and annoyingly, because of all this crap has kicked off. I mean, really, I need to get over there and just do some stuff. I've got some stuff that I need to do over there and so on. And I I was going to go before Christmas, and then on the day I was going to go, they brought in this rule that I can't remember which side it was, but I think maybe Germany banned Brits from entering. Now I could probably still get in because I've got residency documents, but all the airlines had stopped flights and all this kind of stuff. So it just got really difficult. But the other thing about Germany and Berlin specifically is that it's on lockdown as well. So even if I did go over there, it's sort of like, well, what am I really gaining?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
sitting in an apartment somewhere else, not doing anything.
Yeah, a friend of mine came back from to visit Japan over the Christmas period, and they said like since Berlin is like on lockdown, there's nothing
I,
to there's nothing
yeah,
open.
exactly. I mean, I think they're letting hairdressers open again now, which is exciting stuff. So I guess like I think everything's going to start opening up again, going into the spring and summer. But I just figured I might as well just sit here, unless you're going to go to Mexico or something and go and party. Like because going to Europe, you know, it's like if you're
I
just
noticed.
other places,
Yeah,
why bother?
I noticed some of the Tokyo thoughts, some really hot ones though. I noticed them all in Tulum. Apparently, Tulum in Mexico was the
Mate,
spot.
Tulum is the place, obviously, isn't it? And to be honest, I've been looking at it pretty carefully because, like, it just I kind of wanted to go anyway because I heard about it last year. People were saying, "Oh, Tulum, blah blah blah," and
Looks good. It looks really
it
good.
looks it looks awesome. It looks awesome, and a couple of friends of mine have been over there, and they reported back really good things about it. So yeah, for sure. Like I say, I'm working on a new video product thing at the moment. I need to get that finished, and I've got some other bits and pieces to do. And let's see after that. But yeah, it's certainly tempting to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Back in pre lockdown, all this beer bug stuff, which would be a more degenerate city in your opinion, Berlin or London?
Well, they've both got degenerate elements to it, but I think it's got to be Berlin, hands down. I mean, Berlin, like, there's just so much freaky crap shit going on over there. And that's one of the reasons why I liked it so much. I mean, I know another guy who's sort of part of this space, and he went to Berlin and he hated it. He thought it was rubbish. And but he didn't really check out the nightlife, and he didn't really delve into the sort of places that I've delved into. And so, yes, if you just walk around, it's a fairly, I mean, there's some historical stuff to see and everything, but it's not the most beautiful of cities or anything like that. It's not like Prague. And I can understand why people would say, well, what's the big deal? But, you go out at night and it's just completely different story. And I've seen some of the craziest stuff. I mean, probably you probably beat it in Tokyo, but as far as Europe's concerned, I've seen some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen happening in Berlin. So yeah, I mean, and that's why really I'd like to spend like a few months there, maybe during the summer or something, just to really soak it up if it comes back. But of course, at the moment, everything's closed.
Right. Yeah, I was only in Berlin briefly once before I came to Japan to visit a friend, and it was really great. We went out every night, or maybe 2 nights in a row, but it was just 20 clubs open 24 hours and stuff. It was crazy.
Oh, mate, yeah, because the club's open. I mean, like places like Berghain, they don't really shut, till Monday morning. You go in on Friday and it's kind of open for the whole weekend. And
Yeah,
there's Kit Kat Club as well, which is the big fetish party, and that opens Saturday night at 11 o'clock, and then it kind of goes all the way through. I think all the way through Sunday. I've never really made it that far, but it goes all the way through Sunday and probably into Monday morning as well. And it's just crazy. And I've seen some, just all kinds of shit going on in those places. It's
and I
pretty
remember
mind-blowing.
on the first way to on the way to the my first night in Berlin, we're on our way to we're just out walking around, just going our way to get some food. And so I was just stunned by how unbelievably hot the hookers were. Like they were coming up to these Russian tall, like I've
Oh,
never
on
seen.
Orientstrasse, I think it's called, where they have a lot of those girls.
I have no idea what part of the city it was, but usually you never see like such beautiful like
Mm,
hookers on the street.
mm,
Like, yeah, they didn't look like hookers, but they were. They were like, oh yeah, they
yeah.
were kind of a uniform. It was weird. They weren't like they had a name on it. I don't know. I can't
Mm.
remember, but it was kind of like holy shit.
Yeah, there's
uh,
everything's going on over there. It's pretty
yeah,
crazy, and
man,
like I wouldn't say it's necessarily the greatest day game city. I've done day game there, and you can do it if you go to particularly Kurfürstenstrasse, which is the main street, and there's other, I don't know, there's other places, other districts, but it's day game not so much, but night game, it's just off the hook because you get all of these girls there from all over Europe, all over the world. Really, they all want to party, they all want to have some crazy experiences, and it's just pretty. And I think it attracts a certain sort of person as well. It attracts a certain sort of degenerate kind of person, which is obviously good. Not if you're looking for a high quality woman to wife up, but if you're looking for some fun, then there's definitely a lot of opportunities over
who's
there.
looking fat these days anyway?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so I do miss that, but like I say, I mean, it's just unfortunately everything at the moment is just screwed up because of this whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm nostalgic for the days where I could like, because I'm very impulsive. I'll be sitting around and I'll be like, okay, I'll just get a notion and I'll book a flight to like Thailand or something. I
Yeah,
miss that. I miss
yeah.
that. Like just do that. Like
Just get on a
just go.
plane.
I'd often go places without booking hotels or anything. I'd arrive there, maybe have a place booked for the first night, and then I'd
Mm,
like, just see where the trip takes me. And I always have the
brilliant,
best trips doing things like that. I love traveling
brilliant.
alone.
Yeah,
Um,
alone.
I prefer traveling alone because you
Yeah,
have like more of an adventure. I always end up meeting people. It's like, you
yeah.
know, I always hook up. Like I'll always hook up when I travel alone.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
with
It's the
someone,
best.
it's less likely because you're hanging out with someone already, and you're not,
Yeah, yeah. Would
you're
you
not.
go to somewhere just totally random? Would you just almost like pick a place and go, sod it, right? I'm going to go there.
That's I usually go to a city or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
Because I'll tell you one place at the moment apparently is open. Is oh fuck, I forgot what it's called. Hang on a sec. What am I talking about? Because in Europe, there's not many places that are open. But hang on a sec. Sorry,
some
but
random spot in
no,
Britain.
sorry. What am I talking about? Albania. So Albania is open apparently.
Hey,
And I mean, who knows what Albania is like? But maybe it's cool. I don't know. Like some Russians actually go on holiday to Albania. They've got the coast there and everything. So obviously, probably a bit chilly at the moment. But you got the capital city there and everything. So maybe just randomly go somewhere like that, see what it's like. Because at the moment, we're going to have to we're limited somewhat to where we can get to, right? So I mean, there's also actually on this side of the world, you've got Belarus. There are guys in Belarus in Minsk that is pretty open, I think. Although apparently you have to quarantine for 2 weeks when you get there, and Ukraine as well. Kiev is and those and the other Odessa and so on. They're open also, but again, I think you've got to quarantine for a bit. So it's that thing of like, well, do I really want to go and sit in a hotel somewhere for 10 days? But then if you do, then when you come out of it, then you're in a better place. So.
yeah, I mean, have you mentioned Kiev? Have you ever been to Kiev?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
heard
I
the
have.
weather
Yes.
is seriously hot.
Oh, mate, it's fantastic. It really, really is. I mean, Ukrainian girls are incredibly beautiful. There's no doubt. And Kiev, just the concentration of beautiful women there is quite extraordinary. Really, it's
Right.
more than in Russia. I mean, if you go to Moscow, then sure there are incredibly attractive women there, without a doubt. But they're not the constant. That you'll see like 5 or 6 say less attractive women, and then you'll see a girl who's really, really pretty. In Kiev, it's literally like every second woman that you see is incredibly attractive. So it really is a great place, but it's not necessarily a gold mine. You still got to obviously know your game and go through the hoops and everything else. So, but it's a great place. It really is. I'd like to get over to Ukraine at some point. As I need to. The rules about getting in seem a little bit ambiguous because they say you don't have to quarantine if you get a negative test, but then Britain's on the red list, so I think maybe we have to quarantine anyway. So I don't really fancy sitting around in a hotel for 10 days.
I didn't know your worth is Ukrainian. Interesting.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean,
excellent.
it's like I've kind of given up. I'm not a fan. As you may be aware of the Anglosphere, English speaking countries. I'm not a fan of Western women. I
Mm.
mean, I'm not saying there's not hot women in West. There obviously are, but I'm obviously with the current state of women in the West, it's kind of just compared to like other countries. It's the whole thing with the feminism and all that. It's just a hostile environment. Um,
It really is. I mean, I don't think that I would want to really get into anything uh, with a girl in England or probably in America really these days. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe if it was some casual whatever, fine. But
yeah,
it's just not really. It's just you've just got to put up with all this bull BS, haven't
a
you?
lot of bullshit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you've talked to John. John's probably talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
But when we meet Western girls in Tokyo, they'd be even more hostile to us because they know that we enjoy it over here, and
Oh,
they're
so they.
bitter. They'd be very bitter about it, And
Yeah,
what
because
like
you've sort of got out of the matrix, haven't you? And I guess they recognize that on some level.
they
You've got
recognize this, they hate it, like because Japan hasn't gone on board with all these these progressive ideas and these these white. Let's be honest. I gotta be honest. It's mostly white chicks. Um,
mm,
from Western countries that come over and they might have liked some aspect of the culture, like anime or something, but it's only one aspect of Japanese culture. There's a lot more to it, and
Mm,
they get really, it's not what they think it is, or they arrive here and it's the women are still very feminine, and they can't really compete. Like I'm telling you, like the only hot women I see in Japan, Western countries, English speaking countries are sorry, the only the only hot white chicks I see in Japan are either Russian or Eastern European.
yeah, yeah,
Seriously, I'm not. That's not even an exaggeration. It's so
really.
rare. It's not. It's usually. I used to have a joke with my friend. It was like, "Are the Japanese government doing this on purpose, like to like keep Japanese men away from foreign women? Because like the Western chicks that come to Japan are they're below average to say the least. Like they're below average. Like, and
It's
if you
really
see a
odd,
hot
isn't
one,
it?
huh?
It's odd, isn't it? I wonder why that would be.
I've
Maybe the
no
hot ones get turned away at the border, like you say, to control the
idea.
Japanese men.
Must be. I don't know what it is, but it could be something to do with like to be fair, it does attract a lot of dorks, yeah, guys
Mm,
too. Like
yeah.
with the anime and
Mm, mm.
so maybe it's both ways. I just don't acknowledge like the dorky guys as much, but um yeah, if you're being honest, it does kind of attract dorky Western people, to be very honest.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure, for sure. Yeah,
so
yeah,
if you have game like me or John, it's easy to stand out. Like
yeah,
if we care about it, how we look, we care about our fashion. Like we're
yeah.
yeah, we're degenerates. But
It looked pretty
it's
degenerate the other night.
yeah, God, yeah. It's always whenever you go out with John,
It's
it's
always
like
a
full night,
degenerate night.
the full night. So, but it's good. I mean, it's a good
Yeah.
time.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to getting over there, but again, I don't think that we can get in at the moment. Can we? Are the borders closed right now?
They're closed. I mean,
Mm,
my brother hit me up and he's like, he was asking me, where would be good to stay in Tokyo? Tokyo. I'm thinking of booking a flight in November, and I was like, well, before I tell you where it's good, I mean, wait till the country like opens up. It's not like there's no. I don't even know if you can book flights over here now.
mm, mm.
Um,
Are they rolling
but
out the vaccine over there?
I don't pay attention. I haven't paid attention to that because I'm not taking it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, you know, I presume, but I actually don't know. I don't
No,
know.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
No, it just seems like that's the thing that everyone's doing now, doesn't it? To sort of like theoretically to sort of get things opened up again. So I don't know, but
yeah. I just know too many people who have had it, and it's like literally the mildest thing ever. I've known people who have supposedly had it, and in
yeah.
Tokyo, like they had a fever for a day or something like, and it's like okay, they're you know,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. Well, it's certainly the younger people. I think it doesn't really seem to affect the younger people too, unless you're very unlucky. I mean, there have been some people apparently who've been very
yeah.
unlucky, but I
Well,
think
there's
in the most,
always a case like that. I mean,
yeah,
every year
yeah,
apparently people die of getting hit over the head by a coconut. It's not like a common way to die, but you
yeah.
know,
Or you could die by approaching the wrong girl and have her boyfriend just pulls a gun out and shoots you. I mean, So
it's,
are you not going to do day game?
it's one in a million, right? Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
It's like I guess when guys, they think of the worst case scenario. It's like, oh shit, like
mm.
that could happen theoretically. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some alpha simp. I don't know. Have you ever heard that phrase? I don't know. Like a
Well, like
guy that's such a like hothead simp that he sees you talking to his girlfriend and he's gonna kill you and then go to jail. It's like
mm,
you know what I mean? There's guys
yeah,
out there who would do that, but yeah, it's not.
yeah.
It's
Few and far between.
I've never had a guy. I don't. I mean, I've had guys like get in my face for talking to their girl, but I've never gotten in a fight. I
No.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'll tell you what, actually, on the subject of travel, though, Mark Zollo from Naughty Nomad. He's gone
Oh,
to
yeah,
Afghanistan, hasn't he?
I do. Yeah, yeah. Was it? was it Afghanistan or was it
Well,
Pakistan? I think
well,
he was in.
he's gone to Pakistan, but I think that he's supposed to be traveling into Afghanistan as well, which is pretty nuts. I heard it's very nice this time of year. You know?
Yeah, I heard he had trouble. I think I saw on his Instagram he had trouble with the visa or something getting into Afghanistan.
Oh, did
Uh,
he?
yeah, I think he was in Pakistan if my memory serves me right, and he had some trouble with a visa getting into Afghanistan.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he solved that or not, but
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
okay. Pretty crazy though, really. Some of the places he goes to. I mean, it puts me to shame, really. Do you know what I mean? But I'm glad somebody's out there doing it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not even that. I mean, he's been to over 100 countries, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Why was it Japan for you then? Was that always a place you wanted to check out?
Well, I mean, I mean, I was so long story. I'll just shorten this up. But I was in Ireland and I was dating this Korean girl. Her visa
Oh yeah,
ran out back in my blue pill phase. I was like,
yeah,
when her visa ran out, and I was thinking like, oh, you know, I want to get out of Ireland, so I'll go and you know try and go over to Korea and see what Korea's like, and live with her. And then my brother was like, "Oh, you shouldn't." You know, he was kind of getting like a little bit red pill with Rolla Tomasi's work, and he sent me, you know, he
yeah.
sent me some of his work, and it kind of made me think. And then I cancelled that, and I was living. One of my housemates was Japanese, and he told me about a Japanese exchange teaching program where you can
Oh
come
right,
over
yeah,
here, you can teach, and you know you get really good pay, and like it's a government run program and
yeah,
look after you really well. And it's so I applied to it, and I got it, and that's I thought I'd come over for a year, you know, and that would be you know just a year thing. But I mean, it was so much. I was the quality of life here was just so much better than Dublin. I
yeah.
mean, uh,
Oh yeah.
just
What?
the access to like seriously hot girls, and you know I might sound like a like I'm full of shit because I was dating a Korean girl before I came, but I didn't particularly have any like a yellow fever or any, you know, like a fetish for Asian women or anything. But when you do come over to Japan, or you know, you're
Yeah,
gonna you're gonna notice how beautiful the women are.
yeah. So you sort of developed the taste. It wasn't that you had that originally. It was like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But just
Mm,
objectively speaking, like as a straight man, you're gonna notice. You're gonna be like, you're gonna see that these women are seriously well put together. Like
mm.
average Japanese women are at least they're gonna have a very nice figure, you know.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yeah,
they have this slim little waist, and oh, it's like wow. If you're a
yeah.
leg man, if anyone's into like likes Japanese like legs in general, Japan is the country because like they tend not to show cleavage, but they'll wear the tiniest little like tennis skirts, like high heels. Crazy. It's crazy. You're
Well,
trying to
I am actually a leg man, so I need to get
yeah,
over there immediately
yeah,
as
you're
soon as possible.
and it's hilarious. It's funny because you're trying to go about your business. You might be going to work at like 7 a.m. in the morning, and still like these women are just dressed to the nines, like on a Monday morning.
Mm, mm, mm.
Like college. Oh my god! Imagine going to college. I can only imagine going to university in Japan. It would be insane because you see these university chicks going to college dressed like oh my god, like
Mm,
you're
mm.
wearing little tennis skirts and oh man, with fishnets and stuff on the you know, and the people people trying to, you know, so you have to do game like, you know, but
Sounds like paradise. It really does.
it
It really
does.
does. But
It's a safe
yeah,
place too, you know. It's not like you know, it's just has a lot going for it. Has a lot. You'd like it.
yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, what's the without getting into too many technicalities, but what's your visa situation like? Because is it sort of is that a work thing that you're able to stay there longer, or how does it kind of
Well,
pan out?
you know, in Japan, you know, you can stay as long as you have a work visa. You know,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
easiest way to get like the easiest way for a foreigner from an English speaking country is to get an instructor visa or a humanities visa.
Mm, mm.
You know, and
What?
that's what I'm actually in the process. I'm in between. I'm waiting to renew my visa right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it should be all right as long as you have a company to sponsor it. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, it's just. I mean, I think all of us are just sort of just itching to travel again, really, right? I mean, to start going to places again. Like I say, I think I probably could. I think there are people out there doing it. It's not impossible. It's just you've got to pick and choose where you go. And I suppose there's that sort of balance between, well, is now the time to be doing that, or should I just keep my head down at the moment and crack on with some stuff, and then as we get into the spring, summer, then start to sort of to get out there a little bit more.
Yeah, I was impressed. John was able to get over to America and travel all around.
Yeah,
That was impressive because there's a lot of red tape, and even he almost had trouble getting on the flight, and there's uh, I feel like I wouldn't get away with that. I don't have that kind of I don't have that. Some people just have that kind of they just get away with things. I
yeah.
feel like I'd somehow get stopped or something
Well,
because
apparently in the UK, we're going to have to fill in a form. I think it's from next week or something. If you leave the country, you have to fill in a declaration form to explain why you're going, which is pretty draconian. But I mean, obviously, I guess if it's for work purposes, then they're saying it's okay. So I guess you've just got to say for work purposes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it does feel a bit like for the first time in our lives now you've got to travel is not this easy thing anymore. It's this like challenging, weird environment now.
challenging. Like there's already all these things that you have to worry about, like bringing your passport and like booking the right time,
Yeah,
like not missing your flight and all this. Now you have to worry about tests and like can I enter this country even? You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. There's some quite good blogs actually. I found one quite good blog for specifically targeted for UK, and it updates regularly, and they basically tell you where you can go, what the requirements are, etc., etc. So that's pretty useful. But
It's just extra work though, isn't it?
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, like I feel somewhat. If there's one thing I could do again, I probably would have done more traveling before this if I'd have known this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you sort of think, oh, it was so easy just a year and a half ago. It was so easy, and now, but I don't know. Let's see what happens, right?
What are you most nostalgic for, like about
Oh,
the pre yearbook times?
well, I think the things like the bars, clubs, restaurant. I think the nightclub scene really, and I know you guys have got it over there. So, or to some extent, you got it over there, which is great. And it's not even like I'm a massive club goer anymore. I used to be when I was younger. I'm sort of a bit over it now. But just the very fact that that's going on, and you could go somewhere, or you could go to some crazy party or something like that. Because there's some pretty degenerate parties in London when it's open. You've got Torture Garden, which is the BDSM party. You've got things like Killing Kittens, which is basically an upmarket swingers party. There's lots of interesting stuff going on here, or there was. And, I used to go to quite a lot of it. And, if it was still going now, I'd probably pop my head in because it's there's this interesting stuff happens there. Let's just put it like that. But it's just all been taken away.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm the like I'm the same. I'm not a huge club guy, but I like to keep it like every now and every now and again because it can be it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh, I like the immediacy of the house. You can get quite sexual with the girls like very quickly.
yeah,
You can't really do that in other environments. So that's kind of unique to clubs.
yeah.
That's why clubs are fun, but it's not something I want to be doing. I'm not like one of those live for the weekend guys where I'm going to be like, yeah,
No,
no, I'm I don't want to say I'm over it because I'm going to do it sometimes, but I'm not going to be like every weekend. Oh yeah, club Saturday night. No, because
yeah. Well,
it's it's
I like the fact that it's there or it was there, and people are out
mm,
there doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's and yeah. I mean, well, we can complain until the cows come home about the current lockdowns and stuff. But it's just a shame that so much of cultural life has just been eradicated overnight by this
Yeah.
damn thing. And so many people are just seem to be on board with it. So many people are just like, yeah,
Mm.
fair enough, keep it going, which is
It's not
very
bad.
odd.
Yeah. Were you ever into like fetish clubs or anything like that?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Torture Garden in London,
Yeah.
Kit Kat Club in Berlin are my two favorite ones. There's a place called Insomnia in Berlin as well, which is pretty
Uh,
good. But Torture Garden, I mean, I
so,
was going.
so how
I
does it work? I've never been to a fetish club in Europe
you,
you know.
you've been Japan though, right?
I went to one in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Torture Garden was a monthly party that would take place at various different venues. They moved it around a bit, but yeah, it was very uh, very busy, very popular. Particularly, I think after 50 Shades of Grey. They used to have it at a place at an Elephant and Castle in London called the Coronet, which is quite a big venue. I think you could get like a couple of thousand in there, and
What?
literally you'd get there at 11 p.m. and there'd literally be a queue down the road in Elephant and Castle around the shopping centre of all these people dressed in this latex and all this weird crap. But but the women that would go there, I mean, because you might think, oh, it must have been full of all these weird old pervs and it like me, and it must have been crazy. And but the women that you would get there, very very attractive young women, and they get out of taxis, they get out of their Ubers wearing like long trench coats, and that you could just see like the stiletto, the fishnets and the stilettos, and you'd literally get girls just wandering around in underwear, fancy underwear, wandering around the club. Um, very very sexual environments. You could do as much or as little as you wanted to. There's a big dance floor, DJs, performances, stuff like that. So you could just go there as a normal club event. But they'd also have like this couples room, and you could queue up, go into the couples room, and then people would
In
basically
London.
go, yeah. And you go in, and people were basically just a whole bunch of people basically having sex in this couples room. Yeah. And you'd also get as well. You'd kind of get people having sex around the club as well. But it was, strictly speaking, it was meant to just go on in this particular space,
Okay.
this couples room.
I was
And
aware that you could do that in Berlin, but I wasn't aware that you
yeah,
could. Yeah.
I mean, pretty crazy, right? But I don't quite know how they sort of did it as far as the regulations were concerned. Maybe because it was a private space within the club, there was some sort of.
Did it have like any facilities, like
Uh,
showers, or anything like that?
It
Or was
didn't
it
actually. It didn't have showers actually, but no, it didn't. It didn't. It didn't
just
have showers, and
tiny?
it
Okay.
smelled a little bit weird in that couple's room sometimes.
Okay.
But I wonder what sort of facilities you meant, because they did have facilities in the sense of they had frames that they tie people to, and spanking equipment and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. In Berlin, there's certainly the club Insomnia. I know they've got showers and things. So Torture Garden, not really, but I think people just go for the night. They sort of bang whatever and get dressed together and then go home. So it perhaps wasn't necessary. But
Right.
if you're in a club in Berlin, you're probably going to be there for about 48 hours. So you probably need to
Yeah.
freshen up.
Damn. So does Kit Kat have like a shower? Does Kit Kat have showers in? As I heard, is Kit Kat like a swingers club, or is it like? Because
No. Kit Kat is also like a fetish party,
okay.
and similar sort of thing to Torture Garden in London, except the Kit Kat was weekly. So every Saturday night you go to Kit Kat weekly party. Again, DJs, music, loads of people just dancing, people wearing all these crazy outfits, some people naked, whatever, and people having sex in different corners of the rooms. And there's an upstairs bit where people would have sex on this balcony kind of thing. It's all going on, having sex on the dance floor, whatever. They did. I don't know if they had showers there, but they did have a swimming pool that people used to go into, and also a sauna, funnily enough. So
Sounds like a good
so
time.
yeah, very very good time. And you get girls again from Germany, but from all over Europe, and really all over the world. I mean, I remember talking to girls from LA in there, and so you get Asian girls in there, just all sorts of people.
Right. Yes, it's kind of different from Japan. The one I've only been to one fetish club in Japan. It was like 2 weeks ago or something, but
Mm.
it's not. It's more like a strip club, so that you're like going there and this like their staff are working there. But it's a lot better than a strip club. It was just kind of novelty. I just went to see what it was like. But I have been to like sex clubs in Japan, like a few times, like quite a few
Yeah.
times.
And what? So how do they work?
So
What's?
in Japan they call them happening bars. I don't know why they call them happening bars, or couple kissa. It means couple cafe.
Mm,
And so happening bar, like, so the one I went to was like a couple kissa. It's like a couple cafe. It's basically a swingers club. You have to go as a couple to the one I went to.
yeah.
And uh, so a girl I knew like introduced me to it. One of my friend with benefits, and yeah, she told me about it in Tokyo, and we went there. But it's like really it had facilities and things, like it had
Mm,
like showers and all that. But it was the first time I went, it was like a weeknight, so there was like a few couples in there. We had a,
yeah.
I had, It was my first time there, so you know I'd never done anything like that, gone to a club like that before. But it was a good time. But the second time I went there, it was like a Halloween event, so it was so packed with people. It was
Oh,
crazy.
nice.
It was
So what?
insane.
So what happens? You just turn up with the couple, and then you kind of, if you like the
Yeah.
look of somebody else, you guys get together and you swap,
I'll just
or.
give you a quick introduction. That's how it works. So you ring on the doorbell. This
Mm,
guy comes out and he goes. He says, "Have you been here before?" And he say, "No, I haven't." And then he explains the rules. The one I went to, you had to be able to speak Japanese. So luckily, I could speak Japanese because it's communication. And he you pay a fee. You
mm,
get a membership card the first time, and then every time after that it's cheaper. It's like just it's like a club or whatever. So then you go in, and then in the front area there's like a bar lounge area, and there's just people, like you pour your own drinks, like people. There's food like sushi and things, and then
mm. It's
people
funny
get.
how these places often have food actually as well.
Yeah, it's not. I don't mix food and sex. It just doesn't go. When I'm horny, I don't feel like eating. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah,
But so people talk to each other, and that's where you get to know people. There's kind of an
yes,
etiquette to it. There's an etiquette. You don't obviously it's not like free for all. You don't just start
yes.
banging people. You know what I mean?
Mm,
There is
mm,
like, especially in Japan, but and then down the back there's like basically just these like open these rooms, but kind of open, like
yeah.
with leather kind of. And there's like all these. It's Japan, so things are very like they have like all fresh towels and like you know
Mm, mm.
boxes to put your clothes in. And but it was amazing. It was unbelievable. It was crazy because
Wow.
I was shocked at how there was a lot of like older men with younger women. It was amazing, and I was the only foreign guy there, which was crazy.
That must
Uh,
be, yeah, fantastic.
it was a good time, and yeah, so you just get talking to people, and then you go, oh, so they say asobi masho means let's play. They say
Yes.
that means to let's fuck in Japanese. They say asobo, like it means to play.
Mm, mm,
You start talking to them and then say, oh, let's go, and then they say, oh, not yet. That's a polite way of saying no, like no, maybe later or something. But if they
mm.
say yes, you go down the back, and then you just have a good time.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
I banged quite a few ladies that night. It was a good time.
Well, there was also, as I said, this party in London called Killing Kittens, and in a sense, it's a kind of a not woke, but it is run by a woman, and they in their marketing they were always very much like this is a sex party for women run by women, because the idea was that the women would go there and they would feel safe, and they theoretically they're meant to approach the guys rather than the other way around. In practice that it doesn't quite always work like that, but it's very sort of femme centric. However, I went to quite a few of their parties. So there's basically two things that happens. The first thing is you go to one of their couples parties, like you're talking about, with a girl, and then you guys, you go together, and you can mingle, you can do what you want, really. Like you said, it's not a free for all. There's always that etiquette. So if you want, you can just go there and have sex together, or you could, if you want to involve other people, you can do that as well, and whatever. But this company also started doing singles parties,
Okay.
and they would actually let in solo guys, because obviously, so you have to be a member. You have to be a member, and part of that is putting your picture on the website so they can see if you're reasonable, kind of thing. So there is a little bit of like that looksism about it, but if you're assuming you're accepted, and the bar isn't that high, to be honest. I mean, I got in.
You're
Then
not rude, though.
then you could then they would do these singles parties, but the singles parties, they would cap it very strictly with the number of men that could go, because obviously they didn't want it to be like a sausage fest. But I went to quite a few of these singles parties in London, and it was pretty mental. You just walk in. They had them in various places. They had them in a sauna in Covent Garden a few times, and you just go in, and they were literally like girls in their underwear, and it was kind of like you go up, have a bit of a chat, do a little bit game, and she'd be like, yeah, all right, yeah, I like the look of you. Let's go. And there'd be little rooms where you could have sex, or just out in the open in front of other people, whatever. Pretty mental. And they did a party a few times. There's this big fancy house just down from Oxford Circus, where they had a few parties there. Apparently, the owner of it was this millionaire degenerate guy who just liked having sex parties at his place, and so they let him use it. And I went to that a few times as well. And they had this like swimming pool, jacuzzi thing downstairs, and a bar and music and stuff like that. But it was the same sort of thing. And upstairs, and you get all these girls, actually, and they're wearing like evening dresses and stuff like that. And the guys were quite dressed up. You're wearing a suit and maybe even a tie and stuff like this. So quite a upscale kind of a thing. But then you go upstairs, and they're literally this room, and they'd have like a bunch of beds in the middle of the room, and just all these people like banging on these beds, just mental, So definitely some good times there.
Yeah, I bet you're nostalgic for those times.
Oh, mate, I'm misty-eyed looking back on it. But actually, on my blog, I used to write about this stuff quite a lot. I've taken quite a few articles down. I might republish them again, but I used to just sort of write, sort of almost like monthly updates from like Torture Garden and Killing Kittens, and explain, sort of try to describe what happened and everything. And then I put them, actually, I've got a couple of books. I've got a book called the 50 Shades of Game series. Volume 1 is about the BDSM scene, and then Volume 2 is about the swingers scene. And I put quite a lot of the stories into those books. They're on Amazon, so but it's really, obviously it's great from the point of view you can meet girls and get laid, but it's also actually kind of interesting from a red pill perspective as well, because you really see like the sexual marketplace in its rawest form, and you see hypergamy just like really, really operating at a very crude level,
Yeah, I guess it's just purely how hot you are in that environment.
I have to say, if you're a black pill dude and you were there, you would be like, everything that the black pill says is correct, because who's getting the spoils? To be honest, it's the tall, ripped, high value, good looking guys. They are the guys. They are getting the pick of the litter. There's no doubt about it. Having said that. Because I wouldn't, I scrub up all right, but I wouldn't put myself in that category. But you can, game always makes a difference. You can, if you've got a bit of game in that environment, then you can, I'm not saying you're going to get the best girls there, but you can certainly do okay for yourself. But there would also be very low value or relatively low value guys there, just standing around holding their dicks effectively. And, guys would have this idea, oh, it's going to be a free for all. I'll just pay and go in and get loads of girls, and it just doesn't work like that. The sexual marketplace is always in operation.
Yeah, it's when you go to a place like that, it's obviously just a more extreme version of night game, going to a club. You know what I mean? Because like when you go, guys that do well in clubs are the guys that scrub up well and are like tall, fit, handsome.
Yeah.
Nightclub game is pretty. It's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty. But obviously when it comes down to orgy situation, and it's going to be this survival of the fittest, or the hottest guys are going to come out on top, or the guys in best shape.
Yeah, exactly. There's no getting around. There's no secret hacks where you can just get around the sexual marketplace. although I do remember one time this really, really attractive girl just basically walking up to me and saying, "Do you want to fuck?" And I think she was probably, let's say, I reckon she'd done a bit of the old Bolivian marching powder. So, but the other thing was I'd just previously been with another girl, and I think she could, that sense when you've
Yeah,
just done.
it's,
So I think it's certainly a more heightened sexual atmosphere. So there might, like, an opportunity like that. Would she have said that under normal circumstances to me? Probably not. But then at the same time, you've still got to have something about you. Otherwise, you're just going to get nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever if I'm hanging out, if I'm in a bar with a friend of mine or wherever in a nightclub, and the guy's like maybe let's say higher SMV than me, better
Mm,
looking, let's say, so or in
yeah.
better physical condition, or has like really jacked biceps and like
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's very motivating to me to be around guys like that because it's like I see how girls react to them, and it's like shit. I need to get my condition better, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
mean,
like, you know,
yeah. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, looks matter, and
what do
the
you do?
way and it's a very cruel. Who was saying this yesterday? Somebody, I can't remember. I saw somebody's show yesterday. They said, actually, it was James Tusk. It was the day game dude, James Tusk. I was watching his live stream from Brazil, and he happened to say the sexual marketplace is a very cruel place. That's just the reality of it. That's how it
Yeah,
is. But where I part company with the black pill guys is that I don't think that we're all just helpless. And if you're not Giga Chad, then you're going to get nothing. So you might as well die. That's just not been my experience.
mm,
You can definitely do things to even up, to improve your opportunities in the game. Let's say, without a doubt. But you
yeah,
also have to accept. You also have to accept if you're in the club and you're stood next to some 6'4", Adonis, he's probably going to get the spoils because that's just how things work.
yeah. There's ways to make up for things for sure. If you're
Mm,
not, so hot in the looks market, you have to make up for it in other ways.
mm,
But
mm,
when it comes to nightclubs, I was out. I think John was telling this story. There's a guy here in Tokyo, Jacob. He's a young dude, and he's involved in the crypto. But John and I both know him. But he got really jacked, like really jacked,
oh
and
yeah.
he was looking really well, like, and he's wearing a really nice tightly fitted t-shirt, and his biceps were popping, and you could just tell, like, and some hot chick sent over one of her little minions, like a guy, like she sent over a guy to tell
Mm,
him, oh, that girl likes you or whatever, and then he went over, and I saw it happen with my own two eyes, and it was just hilarious. It was funny to happen. It's happened to me before too, but it was good to see that happen,
yeah. Yeah.
because uh, that's it. Just shows you when it comes to a nightclub, like you said, the guys with the that are fittest will get the spoils. In
Yeah.
that.
But what do you think about day game though? Because on the one hand, you could say, well, you don't have that level of competition in day game and so on because you don't, because if she's just walking in the cafe, then you don't have that sort of competition. But she's still got those guys in her phone, hasn't she? She's still got those guys hitting her up. So day
Mm,
game, it sort of, it gives you more of an opportunity to showcase your personality, I guess. But you're
yeah.
still subject to the sexual marketplace, even if you can't see the other people that are orbiting her, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess it's just you have better chance in day game because they're not like
Right in
directly
the
around her,
yeah,
fighting
yeah.
for her because it's a competition in a nightclub. We're all fighting for the girls, and
Mm, mm,
but when it go in day game, there's not, she's not gonna get hit on like by many guys, so
mm, mm.
you stand out more.
Yeah,
So that's the
yeah,
way. That's why day game is effective because you can basically get a step ahead. You don't
mm.
have to put yourself amongst
All
so much
these.
competition.
Yes, and you also gain points just by, in many cases, just by having the balls to walk up.
Yeah. And when you combine that with doing your best to look as good as you can, and just learning game, and being confident about it, it's a winning combination.
Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Do you use dating apps?
Well, I have done in the past. I'm not on anything at the moment, actually.
Mm.
Partly because I'm seeing, I've got a girlfriend here in London, so she probably wouldn't be too happy if she saw me popping up on. Well, not that she should see me popping up on anything, because obviously, but no, I certainly have in the past. I'm not on anything at the moment. You know, I've had some success through them, and this was before, I'd seen like John's material about it and Myron and everything. So I think if I were to do it again, I would have I'd have a much better steer on how I was going to optimize it. But I don't know. I'm sort of in two minds about them. I think they they're good in a way, but I think for me, the whole thing about cold approach, I think that will always be my favorite way to meet people.
Mm. I agree. Yeah, and dating apps can make you lazy.
Mm.
Um, there's just one question here I never got around to. It says, "Has Troy been back to Manchester since his degenerate days?" Up front, crypto says.
Yeah, I mean, I've been back a few times. I've got friends up there. I do sometimes go up there, but it's still a fun night out, or it was pre-COVID. But I don't know if it's quite got the same sort of thing about it that it had when I was originally there. Because when I was originally there was the club scene was just off the hook, and it was just this really, really crazy place. And I feel like that's not quite the same anymore, but it's still a great night out. It's still a place I really like. So, and you get some attractive girls up there as well. You've got all these universities and all that stuff. So it's a good place for sure. I hope, I mean, I was going to get up there last year, but obviously what with everything that happened, didn't end up doing it. Maybe this year at some point.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's yeah. So I guess we've been going for like an hour. So I mean, what are you up to? Have you got anything coming up or?
Well, I'm doing live streams over on my channel. So if you guys just want to, search Troy Francis on YouTube, you'll find my channel. Go and subscribe over there. I've got a load of, we're doing a breakdown of The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene at the moment, as well as just general sort of dating and game videos. And I'm working on a game product at the moment, basically kind of aimed around approaching and conversation. So I'm trying to get that edited. So that will be ready quite soon. So watch this space for that, because there's some really good material in that that I think people are going to really enjoy. So I'm sort of working hard on that. And yeah, apart from that, really, just sort of just cracking on with things, really. Just looking forward to some travel and getting out there again.
Good stuff, man. Well, it's been good talking. So we'll cut it there. So thanks for joining, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Player Life. So have a good one. Peace out. Bye bye.
See you later.